Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 689. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is, I don't know, the 22nd? Is that right?
Yeah,
Saturday, the 22nd?
22nd of March.
So it's been a couple weeks since we recorded. We were out of town visiting Jude in Scotland, and
Yep.
then since we've been back, I've been sick. I'm still sick. But we wanted to try and get something recorded at least.
In the month of
Um,
March.
in the month of March. That would be nice. Because I mean, Laura's had so few opportunities to tell people it's her birthday month. Um,
Oh, it
so
is my birthday month, yeah.
yeah, um, Pearl is unhappy that she's not allowed in the room.
Yeah, she can hear Leslie, so she's like, I want to play with my auntie.
Yeah. But yeah, so we were in Scotland. We did not record while we were in Scotland, neither did Jude.
We had a great time just traveling, seeing all the things. We went on a tour of let's see. We went to Loch Ness. We went to where Outlander was inspired. We went to a bunch of different places. We went to Aberdeen. We went to go to Seals Point, which was super cool to see all the seals. We went to three different yarn shops,
Hmm.
and a fabric store, and just had a really nice time, just enjoying Scotland, eating all the food. I had
Yes.
all the chai, which was lovely. And it was
Yeah.
just great. Spending time with Jude is always fun. It was cool to see his new house.
Yeah. And like what he plans to do with it, and get to see some of the things that we've seen on the videos. It's nice to
Yeah, so
get a fuller picture of it.
Our friend Jude that we were visiting has a YouTube channel. It is Rewilding Jude, and
Hmm.
he's an awesome dude. Should
Yeah.
definitely check him out. My dog is
And
not being awesome. Pearl agrees because
and
she
Pearl.
loves her Uncle Jude when he
Yeah.
visits. They are snuggle buddies to the extreme. Even if it's 105 degrees outside, they snuggle. But yeah, Scotland was amazing. I cannot
Hmm.
wait to go back next time. We go back. I'd like to go in May so we can see puffins.
Mm.
And a lot of the castles were closed because it wasn't season yet.
Right.
It'd
Yeah.
be
It
nice
wasn't the
to,
touristy season.
yeah, see all the castles and such. High tea in a castle is always high on my list when we visit Scotland.
Hmm.
So yeah. But what have you been working on? You were working on a ton of stuff when we were over there. I can't wait to see
Well,
what progress you've made.
less than I'd like, but I haven't had tons of motivation to knit in the last week because I've just been feeling gross. So the first is a hand spun. This is
Ooh.
from Moon Rover, who I don't think is in business anymore.
Well, she's in business, but a different business. So
Oh,
she
okay.
used to dye fiber and yarn, and now she creates board games
Oh, cool.
and sells board games. She's got a really cool one about monarch butterflies and another one about yarn.
Hmm. Well, this was from when she dyed fiber.
Yeah.
I was briefly in her club, maybe 6 months. And I'm knitting a Ricky hat. So the Ricky hat is basically the
Ooh.
same as what I'm wearing. It's just a garter stitch, like slouchy hat. Um, and I'll talk more about. I'm knitting it flat. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Um, but it's a nice squishy texture. It's just garter stitch, so there's not a lot of thought involved in it. You knit the brim in a smaller needle size so that it's snug, and then you go up for the body of the hat. So I'm knitting that on size nines. I used fours, I think, for the brim. And then the other thing is the lace and fade boxy. So this has gotten a fair amount of work.
Oh
So
yeah, it's divided now. There wasn't a
yeah,
front last time we
so I got
recorded.
the front done, and I'm on the third lace stripe.
Very
So
cool.
the solid colors are from a gradient pack from Miss Babs, and then the um, alpaca silk, the variegated, is from Republica Unicornia, and I think it's called Unicorn Birthday Party. Um, but yeah, so three colors in, there's six colors total, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I have occasionally screwed up the lace and had to tink back a whole row, which is not super fun in a fuzzy yarn because it like wants to hold on to itself.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's relatively easy once you get the lace pattern established in each section. Just getting that first row of lace established, I always mess up the count somehow. So yeah, this is the Lace and Fade Boxies from Hoagie Locatelli.
it's really
I tried
pretty.
on Emir's, no, not Emir's, Evie's last year in the tried on room at SSK and really liked it. So I'm basically copying it exactly because why mess with it?
That's the whole purpose of that room. So, for those of you who don't know, we run an event called Super Summer Knit Together, SSK for short. And one of the things we have at that event is people bring garments and hand knit items for people to try on. So you can get a lot of inspiration and see if things fit the way you want before investing in knitting them or crocheting them or weaving them. So
Yeah, it's like dress
it's
up
one of my
for
favorite parts.
grown-ups.
Yeah, it is definitely dress up for grown-ups. Um,
Um,
so that's the two things that you have working on right now?
that's all
Cool.
that I'm actively working on.
I love it. I have three things that I'm actively working on. I'll do the one that is in my hand right now, my very sparkly, glittery yarn. So, one of my coworkers, um, had a baby. She wasn't due till the end of January, so I thought like we went to Christmas break and I thought I would have like Christmas break to start on stuff, and she had the baby like a few days after we came back from break. Like did not ever come back from break. So I am knitting her the Bunny Tail Hat by Susan B. Anderson. There are two hat books for babies that I use over and over again. And one of them is Teeny Tiny Hats by Susan B. Anderson. And so I just have a smidge of stockinette knit. This will have bunny ears. So I'll
Mm,
have to see if I can get some ribbon from Michael's for to tie off the bunny ears with. I'm doing the 1-year-old size
mm-hmm.
so that she can wear it next year. But it is out of Cascade Hollywood, which I picked up on a trip, I want to say around 10 years ago. So this is deep, deep stash. I got it in pink and gray, and I used the gray for the emotional support chicken that I knit for a friend last year. So
Mm,
moving some old stash out. This was color number 7. So this darkish pink, and it will be a bunny hat in the 1-year-old size. The pattern calls for size 7 needles, and I am knitting this on size 5. And it's still pretty significantly sized. I'm actually using the 0 to 6 month size, and it's going to be a 1-year-old size. But I didn't want to make it smaller than
mm-hmm.
5s when the pattern calls for 7s, and it is a worsted weight yarn. So I'm getting around 4 stitches to the inch instead of the 5 stitches to the inch the pattern calls for. Um, so yeah, it is superwash wool acrylic polyester. The polyester is the sparkle blend. And it's exciting to kind of move it out of the stash. I had to like rearrange some bins to get to it. The other two things that I'm knitting on, one of which is way back here. I picked back up my Layla cardigan. I found the ball of hand spun that I needed to complete it. And last night I got around 3 inches done.
Wow.
So I have just a few more inches to go. And then I am on the back. So I will do the back shaping. The front shaping is already done. And then I just need to join, do the collar, and it's got little cap sleeves. Um, so I'm hoping I can get that done fairly soon. It's going to be too warm to wear probably. It's
Yeah.
70 here today and sunny. But it'll be ready to roll for next year if we get a cold snap. And then the last thing that I am working on, I need to move these combs someplace else. Should not store combs just sticking up.
Rearrange the scary tools on your desk.
Yep. The last thing I have on the needles are some nomadic yarns in the poolside colorway. This is her Brit sock base, so it's a BFL, superwash BFL, 80/20 blend, so nylon BFL. In the poolside colorway, I finished one of these already. This is the first one. I finished that on the trip, and the second one is almost ready for the ribbing.
Yeah.
So I have two more stripes and then I'll be ready for the ribbing on that. Um, so a nice, very spring pair of socks. I was knitting yesterday on a field trip and I was wearing overalls and I had this ball in my pocket and was knitting and the docket was like, that's incredible. It's like, thank you. This is what is keeping me sane as I keep track of my children right now and try to keep them quiet. So yeah, that is what and those are knit on size 0. I'm actually knitting them over 60 stitches instead of 56 like I normally do because the Brit sock is a little bit finer. I probably should have gone down to double zeros, but it will be fine. Um, but yeah, so that's what I have going on. You have some finished objects though, right?
I have a finished object.
Is it the one that you're
Um,
wearing?
it is the one that I'm wearing. So I'm knit most of this on our. We went on a guided tour of Scotland, and that's where we saw like Culloden Fields, cairns, the Loch Ness, and a bunch of other
Bunch of
there.
distilleries.
I got to pet a Highland cow. That was pretty
Yeah.
amazing. But yeah, it was like a 12-hour bus tour thing, so there was a lot of like time where, we were idle. So I was knitting. So this is out of some handspun Laura gave me years ago from I think Hello Yarn
That's Into the World.
into the world. Okay. Yeah. Um and I knit this. So this is a Ricky hat, Rikke, and this and everything else we talk about is linked in our show notes, which are on our website, TheKnitGirls, 3ls.com. Um, and the way that it's written, it's in the round, so it's garter stitch in the round, which means knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row. And I don't hate purling, but my gauge for purling is significantly different than my gauge for knitting. So I used uh, a video of Paula of Knitting Pipeline
Oh.
where she showed how she does garter stitch in the round that Amy Beth linked me to. And apparently she learned it from Amy Beth, which is what she says in the video anyway. Um, and it's essentially you're doing a wrap and turn at the beginning of round marker. But it gave me this very visible, like, seam. And I don't know if it's because of the way that I was doing the wraps and turns, or maybe I was pulling too tight, or not like matching the tension of the knitting or whatever, but it made me curious. And so I thought, well, I was looking at other ways to do garter stitch in the round. And Flegel has, like, or the place that I saw it referenced the most was on a Flegel blog, where you use two different skeins of yarn. Like, you do the same thing, except instead of wrapping and turning, you're picking up one end and dropping the other, and turning the hat inside out. Same general idea. You're just not doing a wrap and turn because you don't have to, because you're dropping and picking up yarn. Which I thought, well, that's an interesting one. I'll try, but I didn't want to try to split up handspun while I was on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
So the other option was knit it flat and seam it. And I don't mind seaming. I don't know. A lot of people will will avoid it if they can, which is totally valid. But I don't mind it, so that's what I'm gonna do. I thought I'm gonna knit three of them, three Rickies,
Cool.
and one. This is one of them, and it has that like very visible.
Wrap and turn.
Yeah, this one I'll seam, and then the other one I'll use two different balls of yarn and do the drop and pick up, and just see which, for me, which one seems to work the best. So, um, yeah, I'll be knitting Rickies for a little while, but it's a good like mindless project. So,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
very wearable. I wear the crap out of these hats. So, this one is so it's like my Scottish Highlands hat because it's very green, and Scotland is very green, very very green. So, yeah, that's what I got done on the trip.
Oh
Excuse
my
me.
goodness. No, you're fine. You're sick.
Yeah.
I have two finished objects, two finished objects.
You've been busy.
Well, one was finished before we went to Scotland.
Oh, okay.
So before we went to Scotland, I finished my highlighter socks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, these are out of Geektastic. Well, it used to be Geektastic. Now they're Phantom Fibers in the Trapper Keepers and Pencil Boxes colorway. They were knit on size zero needles. My go-to pattern always for socks is toe up. I use Judy's Magic Cast On. I typically do 32 stitches and then increase out to 56 and then do Wendy Johnson's Heal with Gusset. So that is what these are. I still need to um, weave in
Even ends.
ends, but I have like four pairs of socks that are sitting right here beside me on my desk. And when I am out of other things to do when I'm sitting at my desk and I'm on a Zoom or whatever, Zooms are perfect for weaving in ends. So that is the plan for these. These are mine. I have a good bit of yarn left over, and I might do one of the Sarah Shira self-striping gnomes out of this because you want shorter stripes for that. So, and you only need 100 yards, and I'm pretty sure I have 100 yards for the smaller one left. I need to cast on my gnome this week. It might be a very small gnome because um it's the last week of the month. Um, so those are complete. And then the big project that I took on the trip was my traveler cowl. So I started this back in maybe December after I finished my hip strings base 12. Um, so this is it. It was mostly knit on the bus when we were taking the tour of Scotland. So Hip Strings every year does like an advent, and this was this year's base 12, and so I knit it into the Traveler Cowl by Andrea Mowry. I believe I used size 4 needles. Let's see. Nope, size 3. And super happy with how it turned out. It was nice and cozy for the trip. It got a lot of wear. I still need to block it. I did not block it before seaming it, but I sat on Jude's couch and seamed it in my lap. So I'm not gonna say that this is my best seaming job of all
Yeah.
time, but it's behind my neck, so I'll never see it. And it doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, so Hip String Space 12, they always do a great job with it. It's mostly silk blends, and it's nice and squishy in this reverse stockinette welt type pattern.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I
that
like
is
it.
done. I will block that and give it a good wash because it's been dragged all over everywhere. I also need to clip my ends.
Hmm.
I wanted to wait until I blocked it to make sure that everything was good before I clip those ends. Yep. So there's my meh seaming job, but it's fine.
Nobody's
It's
gonna
the
see
job.
that. Yeah.
Um, so those are the two things that I have finished this week. Spinning wise, I the other night was on a SSK Zoom, and so I decided to finish combing my coop worth that was sitting here. So Coopworth is a breed of sheep. It's a little bit longer. Maggie Casey just gave me like a handful of locks a couple years ago. And so it is all combed now and floofy. It's probably just 2 ounces. Um, but I almost poked out my eye with them now, my Valkyrie extra fine combs, and they worked really, really well. And I sat here and probably overloaded my combs, but I got that's when you add too much fiber to easily comb. But I was being impatient.
Mhm.
So I have this nice fluffy bit of top where all the
Yeah.
fibers are going in the same direction um to spin up. So not good fiber for supported spindling because it's a little bit too long, but it'll be fun to spin up. And nice to spin a different breed of sheep. I don't spin Coopworth very often. So that is the first thing that I worked on this week. And then I needed to start a new spinning project. So I am spinning a braid from, well, it's actually going to be 2 braids from Fossil Fibers. This is Ents at War. It's a blue face luster. I have 2 braids of these. I'm splitting them into thirds to do 2 3-plies. And it is going to my friend Sarah because it is very much her colors. Here's the first bobbin,
Mhm.
and not so much my colors. So when I see these colors, I think of our good friend Sarah D. And so I don't know that I've ever given her hand spun, so she is well overdue because she is a great friend. So yeah,
She's a lovely human.
and her daughter's getting married in a month, which is very exciting.
And just got her law degree and passed the bar.
Yeah, that was last year,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. She's a good folks. We like Maddie as well as Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. That is what I have going on with spinning. You have spinning though, it looks like.
Nope, I just
Oh,
didn't the thing. I'm still working on the same thing. There's
oink
a baronet in the
pigments.
woods. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been touched in a couple of weeks. So, but I have been doing reading, so I'm re-listening to The We Free Men. I needed like a comfort listen, and that's a good one. But I've been doing a fair amount of like physical book reading. So I finished Happy Fat. This is by Sophie Hagen, who is a um, Dutch, I think, comedian. The book's in English, of course, but otherwise I wouldn't be able to read it. I say of course because English is the only language I know how to read. Um, it's just talks about like I want to say to some degree like body acceptance, fat acceptance, um, and I found it really entertaining. It's not like a heavy read. It's not like a sciency, this is all the reasons why being fat should be normalized. It's just like a funny her history kind of thing. So I really liked that one. And then I started on the trip The Body Is Not an Apology. This is by Sonia Renee Taylor. I'm only about a third of the way through this one. But this one talks a lot about the intersectionality of um, queerness, fatness, racism, transphobia, all of that, disability. So, and it has like little prompts throughout the book that you can like sort of journal on, like to reflect back on the things that you're, learning through the book. So, I'm only about a third of the way through this one, and then this one I just started last night. It's Not Hysteria,
Oh yeah,
Everything
I've
You Need to
heard
Know About
really good things about that book.
Your Reproductive Health, but We're Never Told. I primarily got this because, as a woman of a certain age, um, I'm 44, I'll be 45 this year. Um, I don't think I was even 30 when we started this.
Well, we started 15 years ago, so yes.
Yeah.
It'll be 15
Uh,
years in April.
um, like, there's not a lot of data out there on menopause and perimenopause. And until pretty recently, like women, especially women who were capable, or yeah, women who were capable of becoming pregnant, whether or not they were sexually active, whether or not they were with anyone who could potentially get them pregnant, like same sex relationships, were excluded from all sorts of uh, trials and research and everything because the hormones just confuse everything. But we're not excluded from like using the medicines that the research was based on. So anyway, I'll spare you the soapbox because I could be on it for quite a while, but I'm only like I don't know a tenth of the way into it. But yeah, I've heard good things about this book, and I just thought it would be good to get a better idea of what to expect going through menopause, perimenopause. So yeah, I'm in sort of a nonfiction ish kind of kick at the moment.
Cool.
And I got all those are from my local library.
Nice. Do you like
Um,
utilizing libraries?
yeah, yeah, especially libraries that have like a library of things. You know, like you
Yeah.
can borrow fancy bunt pans or 3D printing stuff, or you know, they have memory
Sometimes you
boxes,
can access internet. They loan
hmm
like things to provide internet.
like hotspots.
Yep,
Yeah, or you can do like local touristy things by getting a library pass to do it. So lots of cool stuff. What have you been reading?
absolutely. I've been reading a lot of Hockey Romance by Rachel Reed and E.L. Massey. That's what I primarily read on the trip. I am still re-listening very slowly to Kate Daniels series by
Hmm.
Alona Andrews. But yeah, I have not been consuming a lot of things. I've just been chilling. The weather here has been really, really nice. So, like, just sitting outside and knitting or hanging out with Pearl outside because it is light later because our clocks move forward. So, it is light outside past 6, which is nice because a lot of times I don't get off work till 5. So it's
Hmm.
nice to just like enjoy that time outside with Pearl when I get home.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just doing that, catching up on some work stuff and just chilling. Today is a very chill day. I have to do laundry and that is about it. I have some other things planned with friends later, but it's gonna be very chill.
Cool. I'm going to get a pedicure because I am overdue. It is one of the few like vanity things that I do. I like having my toes pretty, so
Fun.
but I'm masking up so that I don't get anybody sick. I've managed to not get the other two women in this house sick so far. I'm hoping to keep that streak alive.
Awesome.
Um, But yeah, um, aside from that, I don't think I have any plans at all this weekend. Just rest and try to,
Yeah, I mean you're sick, so rest and recovery is super
yeah.
important.
Um, yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Oh, we pulled some more people from the wait list
We
for
did for SSK, so there'll be some
SSK.
new people coming in. If
Hmm.
you got pulled for the wait list and need anything, you can of course contact myself or Leslie.
Hmm.
We'll have a fail along, probably the information for that coming out soon, and then next Sunday will be our Patreon last Sunday of the month.
Virtual knit night.
Yeah, so that will also be going on. Lots of Patreon stuff. Thank you so much to all our Patreon supporters. Y'all are
Yeah,
amazing. And we always really appreciate everyone who watches the podcast, but especially our Patreon people.
yeah, they are the reason that we keep doing it because it helps pay for like hosting and
Internet.
equipment and that sort of thing. So like it makes a difference and we genuinely appreciate it. Okay, well, I think that's it. I hope that wherever you are, you have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.